Good evening, everybody.
Rini, how are you?
Yeah, I'm fine. How are you? Yeah.
I'm fine.
Hello.
Hello, yes.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay.
Joelson, welcome to you. Just to start the Joelson, can you introduce yourself, please? Joelson, can you hear us? I think we lost connection. Yes.
There is big thunder here in Shillong.
Oh yes, yes.
This morning we didn't have lights also.
Okay,
Oh.
okay.
So the heavy rainfall has come back.
No, the thunder only, not the rain.
Oh,
Jaipur was struck 11 people by lightning this morning.
really?
Yeah.
In Jaipur.
Oh, so scary. I'm afraid of lightning.
No, but you're living in caves, no problem for you.
No, lightning can penetrate everywhere.
Yes, yes.
Sir Goldsmith, Dr. Roger.
Yeah.
Dr.
Hi,
Roger.
Roger.
Yeah, hello, Dr. Diki. Hello to all.
Hello.
I just heard.
Good evening.
Yes, good evening to all. I just heard about the lightning. The NDTV said in Uttar Pradesh, Madhya Pradesh, Rajasthan, more than 65 people were killed by lightning.
God.
Oh no,
Oh my.
so much.
Yeah, in the West they are having wildfires. We are having
Yeah.
our quota of lightning monsoon time.
How do you tell us, guys?
Well, we have made nature what it has become because of our irresponsible way of living.
Yeah. Mary is here also.
Yes.
We have a new active member, Mary.
Yes.
Good evening, Dr. Rini, Father, and everyone.
Yes.
Hi.
Good evening. Good evening.
Father Paul Puduseri, Father Paul, Dr. Paul from Agartala.
Good evening.
Yeah, good evening. Can we see your face, Father? There.
So you are a real human being. Yeah.
Very
Okay.
much.
Thank you, Father Paul, for joining us. Last meeting we had that public hearing on Tripura. That was the highest number of participants we had.
Yeah.
That is the hard work of Father Paul.
Yes,
And,
76.
Yeah, Madam Rennie remembers even the actual number.
Yeah.
No, I
That was a
tried
big number.
in Tripura. I don't understand.
Yeah. Very good, Father. We will continue our work this Friday. It is on Nagaland. Then we will go for Meghalaya, and then
Sikkim and Manipur.
Yeah, Manipur and even for Sikkim. Yes.
Artificial background.
It is already 5, and since we are also on live, can we begin the program, Madam Rini? I think those who are joining us, they can join later. Can we begin, Madam Rini? Over to you.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good afternoon, everybody.
Good afternoon.
This is our ongoing program. Today is going to be very intensive in terms of focusing, because the central government has a draft on trafficking in persons. As we know that this bill was already tabled at Lok Sabha in 2018, and it was somehow passed, but it did not go to the Rajya Sabha. So therefore, it is a hanging bill. Why it is a hanging bill? And then now the government is again coming back and taking some feedback from different states. So we are coming together not only as individual states, but also as community of Northeast people. Why we are saying community of Northeast is nothing but whether we have any specific problem or any specific contributions we'd like to make, whether our area has something different from the rest of the others. If not, it's okay. But if we can find out, also will be very helpful. Last week, we spent a lot of time discussing what are the areas that the Northeast community can contribute towards the bill. So we identify 7 areas and making 8 points. Yes. So the last one is we'll introduce that one later. Okay, to begin with that, yeah, welcome Rosalind also, advocate, because advocate participation at this juncture is extremely important.
Thank you. I just reached home from office and I'm joining. I hope I'm not
Wow.
too late.
You are a flying woman. But catching up
You have
with
to
us.
excuse my colleagues also. They must be reaching and hope they will join soon. I don't know how many of them have joined the
Yes,
meeting.
yes,
Okay, thank you.
yeah. In the meantime, maybe we can request Dr. Roser to record our proceedings. Because, okay, let me introduce to you what are the 7 points we would like to bring 7+1. Number 1 is location, corridor of human trafficking. That is the number 1 concern. Number 2 is the profiling of victims of children in this human trafficking. We are not talking about all the children, but we are talking about the victims of children. Number 3 is the name of the bill. Yeah. Whether this is any suggestion you would like to bring. Number 4 is the functioning of volunteers. Yeah. In course of time, we can discuss at length. Number 5 is the prevention aspect of it, maybe awareness, the state responsibility. Number 6 is accountability and implementation. Accountability and implementation of the bill. Number 7 is grassroots level engagement. Keeping in mind that geographical diversity and landscaping, so grassroots level engagement is a priority. So then the last point is we don't have enough time. Let us request the central government to postpone the time to give suggestion. For us also, we are rushing too much and we are not able to digest and comprehend enough. So those are the 8 points we can discuss. So we have legal expert, we have other experts as well. So Dr. Roser will help us in formulating. So the first point, what we discuss is, let me introduce, and then the panelists, you can also contribute to the point. I don't think that we really need any further discussion as such. Number 1, location. International and national boundary. So when we start this session, you remember Dr. Roser was introducing the boundary, the international boundary. That was the time when we discussed about Mizoram context. When Mizoram has 510 kilometers international border with Myanmar and 318 kilometers with Bangladesh. Okay, if you map out the whole Northeast states, what are the other area we can include? Okay, that we can find out. Maybe Dr. Rosa can help us. Yes. Then, what is the problem? We may have border, but how our border area has become vulnerable and it is corridor to human trafficking. So that area has to be emphasized. So now I'm inviting panelists, everybody, to contribute. What are the areas we can strengthen this point? Let us all participate. Yeah. Over to you. The floor is open. I'm sorry. The floor is open.
Madam Rani,
Yes.
I would say we can follow the order. There is, we have requested a few of our panelists and they have come ready. And maybe after the panelists have presented their perspectives, we can have a general discussion. Over to you.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay. Yeah.
I think I would, we would welcome Dr. Bosai. He is the first one we have requested to share.
Okay. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, now I will invite Reverend Dr. Basai Moit to bring his contribution. Maybe only first point so far, point number 1.
Well, I cannot follow what is point number 1, but I have related my presentation to the bill as it is. And even your point number 1 regarding location, you're saying location, but there is also in chapter 1, which speaks about national, international, and perhaps you mean about that, and that will be covered under chapter 1, point number 1, 2. So allow me to go through what I've tried to take out from the bill up to chapter 8. Not all of them, but a few of them, which to me requires our discussion and our opinion on that. So if you allow for me to go in that way, I will proceed.
Go ahead.
Okay. So at the very outset, I would like to express my appreciation to the government of India through its Ministry for Women and Child Development for having brought out this draft, which is very required for handling human trafficking, not only from a legal perspective, but on all dimensions: social, cultural, religious, economic, understanding of being a human, and the bill itself is quite exhaustive. As Dr. Rini had said, the first bill was presented in 2018, never placed before the Rajya Sabha, and a new bill has come in, perhaps to incorporate some of the suggestions raised at the Lok Sabha. It has tried to bring in various existing laws, acts, and codes as matters of reference and for legal implementation. Now, going to the draft, first is the title. We begin with the title. I think Dr. Mary, in the last session, you have shared that the present title is not enough, but we have to add the word reintegration. Rehabilitation is not all, and it may give a different understanding to it. So the suggestion here that is found in chapter 3, 0.618183. And therefore, the word reintegration is found in chapter 3, point number 61, 81, and 83. And therefore, it would be appropriate to include it in the title, and we can rename the title as follows: The Traffic in Persons, bracket, Prevention, Care, Rehabilitation, and Reintegration, close bracket, Bill 2021. Now, my second point is with reference to chapter 1, 1.2. As Dr. Rini has spoken about location, and there it says about in one point, it says a foreign national or stateless person. Now that even a foreign national, so my submission is that a foreign national or a stateless person who lives and works outside India but has been trafficked by the Indian national, either living within India or outside the country, could be taken into penalization. So this becomes a global fight against human trafficking, because many foreign nationals are being trafficked, and the possibility also in the border of Myanmar, who knows, because of the situation existing there. Now, we can add that in chapter 1, 2. Then the question that was raised in the last session is, why have the National Investigating Agency brought in? Now, perhaps the reason why it is brought in, because NIA was amended in 2019, though it was passed in 2009, as India's counter-terrorist task force, and quote, is empowered to deal with terror-related crimes across states without special permission from the states. And in the amended Act of 2019, the NIA has been invested with the authority or the power to investigate also on human trafficking and cybercrime. So that was the addition, and perhaps in this draft now, they have given it to the National Investigation Agency. So I'll come back to that a little bit later, how it creates a kind of ambiguity and overlapness in implementation. Then in chapter 3, 8, it is written here as follows: the support person shall be identified, appointed by the district anti-human trafficking committee at the panchayat and ward level, and they may be appropriately reimbursed in a manner that may be prescribed. Now, it is silent on scheduled areas. Our 6 scheduled areas are not covered under the panchayat, though PESA has been introduced. It does not include the 6 scheduled areas, and these 6 scheduled areas are in 4 states in Northeast India: Assam, Meghalaya, Mizoram for the Lai, Maras, and Chakmas, and in Tripura. And the rest of India, the tribal areas, is covered under the 5th schedule. So we can add that, which could include support persons selected by or volunteered from the local or village women's organizations. So we have to identify also from whom we will take volunteers. And they have to be through, my proposal is that through the women's organizations who are very active on this matter. So therefore, it has to be redrafted accordingly. Then, referring to chapter 4, 9a, which is similar to number 4, and as such, has to be redrafted so as to include, this also includes talks about the panchayat and ward level. So this also has to be redrafted to include 6 scheduled areas and 5th scheduled areas and their respective women's organizations. Then number 6, it refers to the Children's Women's Committee. And if, again, it is referred to them, and which is not very clear on their function, the present functioning of the CWCs should be first evaluated and reviewed to make them work or product effective, including the juvenile courts. We have had our unpleasant experience with the CWCs and with the juvenile courts. So from that point of view, they have to be re-evaluated, their functions and duties. Then again in chapter 5, 11.2, refers also to POCSO, the prevention of child sexual offense. So is that very effective or not? Despite POCSO, is there not any child abuse, sexual abuse? and which leads to child trafficking. So that also has to be evaluated and reviewed. If again we have to entrust, because that is one of the existing laws for the work. And then in 12.1 of chapter 5 and 13.1 of chapter 5, it speaks of protection homes and rehabilitation homes. Now, my question is, are these protection homes and rehabilitation homes to be similar to the prevailing shelter homes? Though the provision here is very strict, but the attitude and behavior and treatment meted out to those in shelter homes leaves much to be desired. So if there is not a proper procedure and a proper regulation on that, monitoring of that, these will be just names, and still they will suffer, those victims of trafficking. Then in 17.1 of chapter 5 and all other sub-paras here, my question is, because here it talks about the penalization, investigation. My question is, does the report of the investigating officer is final? Would he have the final say on the matter? Or should there be an independent inquiry to weigh the pros and cons, the strengths and weaknesses of the one-man police report? For to err is human. Now, if you bestow upon only one single person and you rely on him, on his report to be placed before the court, who knows that he may be engaged with a trafficker? It can happen. It does happen. So why don't his report be sent to a panel to study on it, the strengths and weaknesses that are there, before it is placed in the court for judgment? The reference to in chapter 8, offenses and penalties. Now there are different penalties given: 2 lakhs, 10 lakhs, 7 lakhs, 7 years, 10 years, rigorous life in prison, and all. We are speaking in different categories. They are there. So would you subscribe to the provisions therein, or would you prefer to make categorization on penalties and punishments? Or should it be the same penalty, whoever is an offender, but is a trafficker? He can be just a convict person, he can be in some other things, but it is all within the parameters of trafficking. So should not it be just one, where is 7 years, life imprisonment? Why one is 20 lakhs, one is 30 lakhs, one is 7 lakhs, one is 3 lakhs? Now already in the bill, you are categorizing the bigger sin and the smaller sin. So whatever the types of trafficking cannot be go for just one end result. Now, as per the recent report, survey report of the UN, human trafficking has shifted to online during this pandemic period. And that was covered by Times of India, today's Times of India. Traffickers have adjusted to new normal with social media and other online platforms, emerging as the route for exploiting victims, especially women, children, and migrants, who are vulnerable and most at risk as per the UN study. So this is an area also. We have the Information Technology Act, the Government of India. There's a lot of coverage there, but we'll have to go into that aspect also. Where are the weaknesses in that? Because that cybercrime will be referred to that, will be referred to the IT Act. Therefore, we will need to look at the Information Technology Act of 2000, as well as sections 37, 409, 411, 468, sections 354 to 376 of the Indian Penal Code, plus the various sections of the criminal procedure code. Probably also the Indian Evidence Act of 1872 will have to be studied for incorporation. Because I'm worried in case a person who's not trafficking, but because he has hatred or somebody hates him, he could be falsely accused of being a trafficker. The word trafficking, we may think everybody is a trafficker, and the person may have the decision to pay back someone. And then if that person also has some grudges against another person, who knows? He'll bring onto that. And then there's also NIA is there. And what happens to the person? So why don't we also bring the Indian Evidence Act into play before the punishment is meted out to the person? So this is my brief submission on this discussion, and it is up to chapter 8. Chapter 8, I didn't read all of it because it says almost the same thing. So we don't have to go by sub-paras, and we can go into that, and we can add also further acts and clauses and laws that are there relevant to the issue. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Reverend Dr. Basai Moit, for your valuable suggestion, critique, comments, recommendation, and so on. You are also not only bringing, evaluating what was the existing one, but also you are adding some more areas. For example, how important it is to be in line with POCSO and several others. Yeah. Okay, now we'll go on with our panel discussion. So now I will invite Dr. Mary to give her feedback. Over to you.
Okay, so should I present my PPT? That would be better, I think, right?
Please.
Yes. Okay, before I start, so good evening to Dr. Rini, Father Tom, and all the panelists and all the participants, and so thank you so much for this opportunity. I'm humbled and honored to be able to present this topic based on the observations about the draft bill. So I'm going to project my PPT. So based on the observation, we are going to have these discussions. Just give me a moment. I hope my screen is visible, Dr. Renee?
Yes, it is.
Okay, thank you. Thank you.
Yes, Dr.
Okay.
Mary, go on. Yes.
Okay. So in continuation with the presentation from Reverend Basiamoit, so I'm going to continue this topic that we are going to discuss on the bill, the draft, and based on the observations, so I thought these are the takeaway message that I believe Reverend Basiamoit already mentioned that yes, from the previous session that we discussed, and then that the title of the bill which need to be probably need to be modified, where reintegration that need to be added just after rehabilitation. So, and then there's another term which is it's mentioned psychological. So whereas this is a complex, the complex issue is a global issue which is also consists of various other social aspect and then the fiscal aspect. So I thought that it's giving this psychosocial to replace psychological, that will be more comprehensive. and in understanding the the individual, the victim, and then including the traffickers. So it's always important to consider, to look from the different perspective, different disciplines, to understand the person and the environment where the person lived in. So what another observations from the draft is like there are some of the terms and concepts related to trafficking in person which need to be more clear, which need to be explained in a in a simple way but clear, and at the same time where this would help the stakeholders, and even the victims also can the public can understand in a better way. So I think some of the concepts which need to be more clear. And then there are different types of trafficking in person. So I think again there we need to categorize them, and then it should be categorized or classified according to the nature of the those antisocial activities or behavior. And then also it's important to look at the the intensity, the so based on that I think it's very important to give to classify them accordingly. So in that way it also helps in understanding for when it comes to planning for intervention or rehabilitation. So it's very important to classify. So then it, yes, another from the observations that early signs of for when it comes to prevention or intervention. So it's very important to look at the what are those various signs that when it comes to trafficking in person, be it for a person. Be it for the traffickers as well as the person who is a victim of trafficking in person. So all those signs also which need to be identified, which need to be understood by all the stakeholders, so including the victims. So and then that was not mentioned anywhere. Then when it comes to early identification, the process it's very important, and then which need to be encouraged at different levels, not just from the national agency as what it mentioned there. So this need to be focused early identification, identification of the victims of trafficking in person as well as traffickers, or the perpetrators, which need to be identified at the at different levels, including which include from the grassroots level onwards till the national level. So that is very much important if we really want to see an effective and better outcome. So that need to be considered. And early prevention based on the this identification, early identification, which in turn helps to for early prevention through awareness program, through various strategies in enhancing the positive behavior change among the people, how to respond, how to help oneself, and how to help the other people around, right from the community. So that is very, very important, I thought, from the observation. And early intervention, it's when it's identified at the early stage. So it becomes much more easier to to deal with the be it for the victim or even for the traffickers. So early intervention helps in early prevention, helps in early intervention, helps for better outcome. So that is very important, which has to be considered at the at different levels, including community level, at the grassroots level. So that is another important point. And in addition to awareness creation, so which I have mentioned, there should be some strategies need to be developed, need to be planned in order to enhance the positive behavior change for at different levels among the people. So when it comes to reporting, when it comes to like for self, how they can help themselves, how they can help the other people around. So I think that is very, very important, because many a times based on because of the nature of the act, the nature of the various policies might not be so friendly in nature to to help the other person, the victim of the trafficking in person. So I think that need to be in place. And rehabilitation and reintegration, of course, rehabilitation is these two programs where it goes hand in hand. If it's something which is just rehabilitation at the end, towards the end, may not be very effective. But then, if this rehabilitation and reintegration is planned at the early stage itself, which helps, which helps the in understanding, and then helping the victim, as well as helping the victim, as well as the person who the person, the perpetrators. So I think this is very important to be considered right from the beginning. Right from the beginning of the right from the beginning of the session. And so then strengthen or increase manpower of all of all the communities of various stakeholders at all levels is very, very important, because this is a global, and this is a very complex in nature, the issues related to trafficking in person. So it would be very useful, very helpful to enhance or increase the number of manpower at all levels. Is very important, rather than centralize the power. So those things are very much needed to be to extend the kind of how these the services which can help the to prevent at the at different levels. Yeah, so talking about volunteer, yes, Reverend Basir Moit already mentioned, and I think in continuation with, from the previous session, that we had identified that volunteer, we need to, there should be some clarity in, because it's kind of vague, like it has to be clear who is the volunteer, and then what could be their qualification, their expertise, and the selection process, and who's going to who's going to nominate, and then so all of these are very, very important. And as per to the what is mentioned in the act here from the draft, that volunteer, it could be a person who support or who will be even before the post rescue, or pre or post rescue, or so all of those, I think again, that kind of person need to be the criteria which need to be thought of, which need to be in place, because somebody has to be to be dealing with a person, and that too, if it's if I am not mistaken, that for 2 years, that the person, the volunteer who will be a support system before and after. So I think it's very important that need to be more clear in the in defining the concept volunteer there. So yeah, like I mentioned, decentralizing of the power in decision making, then planning, right from planning into investigation, then intervention, reintegration to reintegration of the victim as well as the perpetrators is very, very important to rather than waiting at one agency, to one at the central level alone. So I think that it's I think that need to be modified, that need to be to think in a where there should be something at different levels, especially at the grassroots level. So decentralizing, which means that from the village level to district level, then state level, and then national level. So that bottom-up approach will be more useful here, I think, when it comes to dealing with the trafficking in person is very, very important, based on the evidence that most of the victims come from rural areas or the remotest area of across the states, across the world. So I think that is very, very important to keep in mind. Then yes, it's again many a times that we even for some of us probably we think that there's nothing, when however there is a lot of problem, lot of issues there, but then we did not know. So probably because we don't have that skill, we don't have enough that skill to understand that there's something which is there, which need to be intervened. So that is why capacity building or skill training of all the stakeholders, the way how to identify, the way how to respond to the victims or to the perpetrators, to the family members, to the community. So it's very, very much important to to have such kind of capacity building program. And in profiling the victims of trafficking in person at all levels, not just at national level. I think doing that at different levels, especially from the grassroots level, is going to help. In when it comes to intervention, when it comes to prevention. So then again, not just we also need to know what kind of who are those perpetrators. Their profile is very, very important. I think we don't have enough evidence, we don't have enough data to help us, including the stakeholders who are already into into this work. So I think it's very important to have such kind of details or data related to perpetrators, to know what kind of, who are they. So that is very important. And then having said about profiling, the survey or investigate survey to get the baseline information about the profile of the traffickers or the so the victim. So it's also important having all these programs. It's not only for us to talk about the act, the policy. There have been lots of policies, directly or indirectly. But then, what is lacking from the most of the policies, including this draft? I feel that there's something which is not mentioned about causal relationship research, which is very, very important to know what could be the risks, what could be the risk factors in a scientific way, to understand what could be the risks and what could be those protective factors which helps in preventing the such kind of antisocial activities behavior. So I think that is very important to be included. And research informed practice. Yeah, many a times that service or service is provided without basing from any evidence. So I think it's high time to look at the research informed practice as well as practice informed research while dealing with the victims as well as the perpetrators. So that is very, very, if we want to know what is the trend, what is the change, what is the effectiveness of this program, so that it's very important to be considered, and need not be only at a national level. It can be at different levels, which independently, as well as both from the NGOs, government, non-government, academicians. So I think that is very important to be considered. And then SOPs or guidelines to be in place for all the communities, of all the stakeholders at different levels. That is very, very important for for the clarity in applying or implementing, because what is observed from the most of the policies, including this act, including this draft, that that the guideline, some of the terms, some of the, it's just kept in place, but then not exactly there's no clarity in some of the things, who will be doing. So I think it's very important allocation of role and responsibilities, and through these guidelines, SOPs is very, very important, which will help to reduce the confusion, and then which will help um, in implementing those, whatever it's there in place. So for that, stringent policy has to be there, and then need to be followed accordingly, irrespective of the background of the person or the victim or the perpetrators. So, and then what is lacking here, there's nowhere it's mentioned about the approaches. There are nowhere it's mentioned how it has to be, though it is a global issue, social issues, and it's very complex. And however, there's no way that it mentioned about the approaches or the theories, or there's some sort of perspectives or approaches which need to be mentioned. So I thought that having understood about the nature, the complexities from the evidence base, so having this integration of collaborative approach, multidisciplinary approach, and community-based approach, which will help in which will help in achieving better outcome. So that's all about the presentation from my side today. If any questions, so you may.
Thank you, Mary. Yeah, for extensive elaboration of several points that we would like to cover, and also adding some other areas. Thank you very much for your contribution. Now I will invite Advocate Rosalind to make her comments, remarks.
Bye-bye. Hello, am I audible?
Yes.
Yes.
I'm going to have a slight changes with our program. I'm not going to be the only resource person for the day. I want to invite my colleagues who are with me today. We have divided these chapters. Chapter 1 and 2 will be emphasized by Lalrin Dika. 3 and 4 by Arvan Ruata. 5 and 6 by Lalramdin Thara, 7 and 8 by Lalring Feli, 9 and 10 by Lalbiak Fela, and all together we will conclude. I'll try to conclude whatever they have said. Okay, since they are interested in this and want to take their participation. So please, for chapter 1 and 2, Lalrin Dika, over to you.
Go ahead.
Okay, thank you. Firstly, this section I will cover chapter 1 and chapter 2 of this bill. This bill is to prevent and countering trafficking in persons, especially women and children, to provide for care, protection, and rehabilitation to the victims, while respecting their rights and creating a supportive legal, economic, social environment for them, and also to ensure prosecutions of offenders and for matters connected therewith or incidental thereto. And then chapter 1 cover short title, extend commencement and definition. This bill shall extend to the whole of India, and it applies to all citizens of India within the within and outside India, and persons who commit offense under this act beyond India against Indian citizens or affecting the interest of Indian citizens or of India. Section 1 goes through under these persons and any ship or aircraft registered in India, wherever it may be, carrying Indian citizens wherever they may be. And then section 2 under chapter 1 over subsection 1 to 30, the definitions of this act. Some definitions shall have the same meaning as assigned to other valid law or act, and so on. As we see, section 2, subclause 3 shall have the same meaning as assigned to it in clause 12 of section 2 of the Juvenile Justice Care and Protection Act 2015. Under this act, define the child according to this act, who the child means who has not completed 18 years of age, the child. And then chapter 2 cover under this bill prevention and combating of trafficking in persons and other offense under this act. The central government shall have take such coordinate measures and it deemed necessary or expedient for the prevention and combating offense under this act. Under this chapter, section 3, subclause 3 also said national investigating and coordinating agency responsible for preventing and combating of trafficking in persons and other offense under this act, as well as for investigation, prosecution, and coordinating in case of trafficking in persons under offense under this act. Chapter 1 and chapter 2 is towards the definition and prevention and combating of trafficking in persons and other offenses under this bill. That's all I can give a comment under this bill regarding about chapter 1 and chapter 2. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Dika. 3 and 4.
Oh, can you hear me?
Yes, Marwat.
From my point of view, I think this bill is quite good. Then today I will be dealing with chapter 3, that is Anti-Human Trafficking Committee and Adult Officers. I don't think that it will be needed to give a comment about this chapter, but I would like to give a suggestion under chapter 3, section 8, subclause 2D, that is representative regarding representative of district legal service authority as a member. With regard to this section 8, subclause D, representative of district legal service authority member. Can this representative be replaced as secretary instead of representative? Because the district legal service authority can appoint any member, but instead of this, specifically appointing district legal service authority as secretary would be more appropriate. Regarding chapter 4, preventive measures, many point have given under this chapter, but I would like to give I would like to give a comment on that regarding enrollment in Aadhaar card would be very effective in order to preventive in order to prevent this human trafficking, it will help the authority very much to prevent these measures. Thank you. That's all.
Thank you, Ruata. Over to you, Mapuya, for chapter 5 and 6.
Hello, hello. Okay.
Yes, yes.
My I was assigned chapter number 5. Search, rescue or emergence and post-emergence activities, including care, protection and rehabilitation of victims. Mostly, search and seizure is in here is actually based on the provision of the Code of Criminal Procedure in 1973. And in here, in section 11, we can see that where a police officer not below the rank of sub-inspector who has a reason to believe that in that area of his jurisdiction it is necessary to rescue or support an emergency a person without undue delay due to imminent danger of becoming a victim or of being exploited as a victim of an offense under this act. He or it may remove such person from any place or premises. And here, the provided person who emerged on his own and produced himself before the magistrate, the child welfare committee, or any other authority under the act. The rules made under shall be provided within the same medical facilities as if he were rescued. In case of sexual exploitation, the provision of section 164A of Code of Criminal Procedures and section of the protection of POCSO Act 2012 shall be applied into in relation to medical examination of any other person under these sections. And regarding protection homes and rehabilitation homes, we can see that it's clearly written here that the appropriate government shall designate and maintain such protection homes and protection homes and rehabilitation homes shall be registered by the appropriate government in such a manner as may be prescribed. Section 213 and 14 is about registration of protection homes and rehabilitation homes. And in section 15, it is said that the district magistrate shall regularly ensure inspection by an executive magistrate. So section 15 is about inspection of protection homes, etc. And section 16 is about district anti-human trafficking community, how it will assist to the police officer in rescues or emergence of the victims. And section 17 is about investigation, which is also based upon CRPC, Code of Criminal Procedure 1973. And for chapter 6, it is repatriations and reintegrations of victims. This is mostly the work of district anti-traffic human committees or child welfare committees in collab with the states. And for it, in section 5, section 21, subsection 5, the repatriations of the victims under this chapter shall be compelled within 6 weeks for intrastate repatriations. within 3 months from interstate repatriations and within 6 months in case of intercountry repatriations from the dates of productions of victims. So that's all for my chapters cover, but I would like to make suggestions under this chapter 5. I think it's not quite complete, as I want to know about is victim immunity relevant? Because, for instance, a victim can commit an offense by threat or undue influence or forced by the traffickers. Will he be immune to that offense he committed? Thank you. That's all for now.
Okay, thank you, Mapuya. Next, Feli.
Thank you. I will cover chapter 7 and chapter 8. And chapter 7 deals with the monetary relief and compensation. Under chapter 7, section 22, clause 2, the District Legal Services Authority shall award interim relief to a victim or any dependent within a period of 30 days of an application submitted by or on behalf of him in this regard, after due assessment in such manner as may be prescribed. If I'm not mistaken, this victims' compensation has been given also out here in Mizoram by 2018 or 19. I'm not sure. Miss Rosalind was there while they distribute this victims' compensation. What I want to add in this section is that the Department of Justice and NALSA can they distribute or give the compensation in a speedy manner, because that victims compensation which they have given around 2019, I think what I have heard from others is that they have to wait for around a year. Under this section 22 clause 2, it has written that interim relief to a victim or any dependent within a period of 30 days. The interim relief should be given within a period of 30 days, but as in practical, it has been given under that victims compensation. I think it has been given after a year or maybe 2, I'm not sure. And I wanted to add in that because I wanted to make a suggestion on that, that the Department of Justice and NALSA to fund or to give that compensation in a speedy manner. And what I would like also to add is that this section, this act, the penalties and the offenses are quite severe as compared to the Immoral Traffic Act. And what we should also know is that all these punishments and all these penalties and offenses can be booked together or can be read with Indian Penal Code. I would like to add that. And with regards to these offenses and penalties, I think the penalties for various offenses were quite severe as compared to the Immoral Traffic Prevention Act. So that's all from my point. Thank you.
Thank you, Feli. Am I audible? Hello?
Yes, yes.
Oh, we are having so much of disturbance. I'm sorry. Next one is Fela. Lalbiak Fela. Over to you.
Can you hear me?
Hello,
yes. Hello. Yes, yes.
Yes. My first question is chapter 9 and chapter 10. Chapter 9 relating to offense and penalty in process. In this two chapter is very important in this bill. Chapter 9, section 39 relating to punishments of the owners of the properties and in India or outside India. In this punishment is very higher than fine and penalties is higher than higher comparing to other than the act laws, unlike immoral traffic and others of the punishments of the Indian Act. under section 39 of this bill, persons who committed of these ends shall be punished shall not less than 3 years, may be extended for life. And fine is also very high. A person who committed an offense will be fined not less than 2 lakhs, and it may be extended to 1 crore. This is very fine comparing to other than acts like Indian Penal Code and immoral traffic. And I would like some highlight important points in this bill. In this bill, children and women are provided especially protection, as we see under section under section 42 and 46. Under section 42 provided an offense is committed to for a woman in a hotel and any law time to enforce. A person who possesses and the owners and the landlord of the hotel and any place of the occurrence shall be liable to cancel. And section 46 provided if an offense is committed and attempt and this act, a victim is a child or a woman or a person suffering from a physical or mental disability, and the court may presume the person has committed or abet an attempt to commit offense. This will be shows that under this bill are specially protected a child and woman and disabled person. Would like to get section section 47 subsection 3 is a fine imposed under this act shall be paid to the victim to meet expenditure to the extent reasonable and for such and excess amount of fine shall be remitted to be account of such may be prescribed, and detail in this regard may be prescribed under the rules framed under this section. This section is very important for the victim under this act, and it is section 48 subsection 6 is also very important. Section 6 provided very important under section 6 provided only the testimony of the victim can be decided in the case. The court decided on the basis of the victim testimony. This is very important under this bill. Under this bill provided in some act like Code of Criminal Procedure Code and other act like information technology and any others relating to offense can be applied under this act. Thank you.
Thank you, Fela, and the rest of my interns actually for your participation and for your obedience. I want to thank you. They all have given some suggestions, like for the NALSA and Department of Justice. We're having problem, like if the compensation is going to be given to them within 30 days. I think NALSA and Department of Justice needs to have a quick sanction to the state. We need to inform this to the National Legal Services Authority in this, and the Department of Justice as well. And then Mapuy have also suggested immunity for this victim. And Fela has suggested this interim relief as well. I could not, since my network is a bit hayward, I'm sorry, I could not fully get. And then Marwat also has suggested to place a secretary, District Legal Services Authority, instead of the particular representative, because if the secretary is not mentioned, is not the head given there, if the work is assigned to just a representative, I don't think the work can be effective. So those were the suggestions made. And I agree with you, Dr. Roger, with regards to Paras chapter 4, you have mentioned that 6th schedule. If this is going to be invoked, what about the those? It has also mentioned in offenses with cross-border implications. But in this one, chapter 4, para 10, some of the victims don't even possess this Aadhaar, or if not even a voter's ID. If they can make a temporary ID for them, I think that will suffice to their identification. And with regards to para 8.2, on chapter 3. On page 10, the district anti-human trafficking committee shall maintain a list of support persons. Who are going to be these support persons? Like Dr. Roger has mentioned, we don't have a panchayat in the ward level. In this Aizawl area, we only have a Aizawl municipal committee, and other than outside that IAMC area, we have a village council, not this ward or the panchayat. So this needs to be included as these support persons should include all NGOs. Okay, so that is one of my suggestions which I want to mention. And then because like we have for these Burmese refugees also, we are having problem because they don't have any ID to show, to procure to the state. The state themselves has supplied CID through state. They have furnished a temporary ID for them. So this is going to be a problem for this. Then what about the funding? How is it going to be sanctioned, or is it going to be put aside from the 15th Finance Commission for the implementation of this act? Because for the center have asked the state and the district to give compensation, rehabilitation. Where is this funding going to be sanctioned? That I also want to know, because nobody has mentioned, nobody. Am I audible?
Yes.
Hello?
Yes, we can hear you.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry. We're having a network problem out here.
Yeah.
So nowhere it has been mentioned any amount, just a relief that it should be rehabilitation, setup of this work to be done by the state, work to be done by the district. So what fund is going to be emphasized on this? I just want to make sure. Yes.
Yes, please go on, Rosalind. Yes.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. And in chapter 10, para 48, subclause 6, Indian Evidence Act is highlighted there because cooperation is a much needed. Nowhere it is given in this bill that Indian Evidence Act should come under this bill or act to be. So this corroboration is very much needed because we also have a case with relating to this POCSO case in a high court which is pending. So the judge himself convicted those accused using this corroboration. So this bill itself needs Indian Evidence Act, which should be highlighted in this particular paragraph. Other than that, I don't have much thing to contribute. That's all from our side. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Rosalind, and the team for all your feedback. And we are learning a lot more loopholes from your presentation, and you are covering up. That was very, very helpful. Thank you very much. Okay, let us hear from Crystallite. Is Crystallite here? Dear.
Madam.
Yes.
Yeah, Madam Chrysolite has some difficulty. She will not be joining us. I think we will open the house for a discussion. Thank you.
Okay. Okay. Keeping in mind that those are the areas we have to keep in mind. Some of you may have good experiences with this kind of rescuing others. Last night, I also received a phone call from Major Retire, a woman Major Retire from Bangalore, and they rescued 3 Manipuri women. So this is very current situation right now. Okay, the floor is open. Let us keep in mind that those are the areas. We don't need to explain anything anymore because the bill is there. And then, but whether there is any loopholes, we can all contribute. Yeah. Dr. Roser is recording and it will be quite tough for you to consolidate. But still, I know that you will doing a good job. Yeah.
Dr. Rini, I was not present at the first discussion on this bill. So in fact, I got a little surprised when you asked me to record because I was not there for that first discussion on the bill.
Actually,
so I am a little blind on how this discussion has gone. Now, again, if we're talking about methodology, Dr. Basai Moit very clearly mentioned the chapter section and where he would like an addition or clarification or whatever to be made. So that was one. Then Dr. Mary Taryang largely gave her reflections on the entire bill. So, of course, she would have implied certain chapter sections, but she did not specify them always. But hers was reflections. And then we've had the interns who went through the different chapters. That was a good exercise. But then I have just come in straight from another meeting and I didn't attend the first meeting. So I'm a little blind on how it is going. So now whereas when you started, Dr. Rini, you mentioned 8 specific topics on which we have got to take some action. So which will be our method? Will we go by those 8 specific topics or will we go by the different chapters, sections, clauses that have been mentioned, or will we go by a reflective approach on the whole bill? So if it is clear, then it will be easy for us to write what we want to write. Okay. Otherwise, I have to get all the inputs and read them together and then come out with a statement.
Okay, which one will be most effective? I thought that the last proposal could be the effective one, but clarity may be overlapping. Yes. Yeah, Father Tom, you want to say something?
Yeah. Thanks to all our panelists today, Dr. Bosai Moy, Dr. Mary, and then Advocate Rosalind, and especially for involving our young advocates, young lawyers. I think that was really wonderful. I think Rosalind, you made them to do, and then so that means a number of us in the Northeast have read the document. I think that is very, very important. This was a hidden document, and it was not known. I think we have done our homework by reading and making our young voices heard. I think that is the best part of this exercise. And although Chrysolite has not joined us, in the light of what Dr. Roger has said, I would suggest that we had those 7 points which we just discussed in the first meeting that we had, that was few days back. And now what I would suggest is a lot of points have come up. Can we incorporate them as chapter wise, beginning with the title, and then consolidate these suggestions, and then with a firm request to extend the feedback and the hearing from our people from the Northeast. So I'm not giving too much of work, but a humble suggestion to Rosalind that we could, you have done extensive work with your team. Can we put those in words? I mean, those are already there with your team, and then incorporate the suggestions of Dr. Bosai Moit and Dr. Mary into the different sections, different chapters, and then finally, the last date for submitting this suggestion is day after tomorrow, and that is 14th of July. So we need to get it ready at least by tomorrow, and then put it in our WhatsApp group, I would say. And if there are things that we need to add and then comment, we can do that. And then day after tomorrow, I think we should be able to send our document. Thank you very much. Over to Dr. Rini. Thank you.
Okay, I think that is good suggestion. Summarizing. Yeah. Actually, we identify 7 points of them.
Yes,
but
a question.
Yes.
Dr. Rini, Father Tom, is there a format to submit this, whatever loopholes we find? Is there any format which we need to follow to submit this one from our team? Or it can just be in a PDF, a soft copy?
Yeah, I think, Rosalind, we can do it in both ways. Not only in Word document, but also in PDF format. Because let us trust and then trust ourselves, I think. So that is what I would say. And there is no format given, but I think it is open, and then it's an open suggestion. So that is what I would say. I have gone through the website of the ministry, and then there is no format that is suggestion. Only deadline is given, and that's how it is. Thank you.
Oh, that's very good. Rosalind, you want to say a little more, or?
It's okay. Then if there is no particular format, then we can just add whatever loopholes we find according to the chapter and according to the paragraph or subclause, whichever we have discussed right now. We'll put that in writing. Okay.
Yes. Yes. And also make it very brief and very short. And then Dr. Basai Moit also mentioned about areas, something like 6th schedule, 5th schedule, tribal communities. How is it different? And you yourself, Rosalind, you also mentioned about how this is applicable to panchayati level, where most of the Northeast states are not having panchayati level, and it is not inclusive enough. So yeah, many things you mentioned about it. I think that today's meeting is much more better than last meeting, because last meeting was only brainstorming, and then now we have much more focus, and we rediscover some more areas to cover. So I think it is up to the drafting committee to
Dr.
if
Rini, can I project Dr.
Yes,
Rini, if I can,
Dr. Mary. Yeah.
is it, can I project the format? There is a, which I have done actually, I did not present that. If that works, so then we can follow. Otherwise, we can suggest any other format. Can I?
Oh, you mean
Dr. Rini?
Yeah.
The format
Yes.
of how, yeah, if it works. If it doesn't, then we can think of some other better one.
Yes.
Can I project my
Okay.
PPT, the format which I have followed?
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure.
Just
Good.
give me a moment.
There should be a format.
So if we have, the title and then the chapter, and based on the loophole that we have, we identify, then we can suggest accordingly the next suggestions made and why we made this suggestions, the reason for suggestion. I think we can elaborate. So it will be more clear. I thought if we go according to chapter wise and the loophole, then suggestion to be made, and then why the suggestion is made. So if this works, so then otherwise you can, the team can suggest.
Yes, I think this can be made because whenever we do constitution revision, we are also using like something like that. Yeah. So I think that this is a good proposal. What do you say? What others say?
Yes,
And
Dr.
the
Mary.
government.
Yeah, Madam Rini, I think this is a professional way of doing things, and thanks to Dr. Mary for suggesting. I think this is something that we can really go by. Thank you.
I'm in a Zoom meeting.
This is for a PowerPoint presentation, right?
It can be even in the document. We can have it in the Google. I mean, in the Word document, and then convert it into PDF.
Yes, because this is mainly for PowerPoint presentation.
It can be converted into, in a Word document or a Google spreadsheet. But then I think instead of Google spreadsheet, then Word document will be better.
Okay.
Okay, Mary, you can.
Okay, I'll stop.
Yeah.
Madam Rini.
Yes.
Yeah. Father Paul, I just would like to get a little feedback from Father Paul.
Okay.
Father Paul, are you there?
Father Paul, are you there? Or
Father Paul, or anybody would like to make any comment? I think.
Yeah. Any other comments? Sister Prema is
Yeah.
there. Dr. Basai Moit is there. So, Mr. Goldsmith is there.
Yes.
Another one, just is.
That is another organization from Agartala.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, if there is no comment as such, that is how we always do. We make 3 columns. One is existing one. The second one is the revised one. The third one is remarks. Why do we do that? Yeah. So the 3 categories. Will it be a help, Rosalind? Will it be easier? Unmute.
Yes.
Yeah. Because it is very technical.
I could hear too.
It is very technical. Government, central government may be able to understand in this way what Mary has proposed. Yeah.
I'm hearing half of the conversation.
Okay.
Would it be easier? Up to that I heard. Would it be easier to what?
Yeah.
I'm hearing
Okay.
half of the sentence over here.
Okay. We are looking at those people who are drafting. They will be very official people. Last night, they also told me that one IAS officer who was also pioneering to this draft is still very much around. She's still in service. We can also, for those people, it may be easier to go by chapter. And then general remarks, we can make it at the beginning or at the end. Yeah. For example, where do we mention about the location? It is not there. So then, therefore, we have to have general remarks also. Okay, I think that we'll leave it to the expert committee. So, Rosalind and Dr. Roser, and yeah, Dr. Basai Moit.
No, I think I may not be the right person because I have missed the first session's discussion. Number two, I find Mary's suggestion, the format, as you have also mentioned, I find Mary's suggestion very helpful. What I would say is, if Dr. Basai can send his comments to Dr. Mary. And Mary, I don't know where you are. Are you in Mizoram or elsewhere?
Bangalore.
Oh, you're in Bangalore now.
Yeah.
Because there are two legal experts. You are there and Rosalind is there. And then Rosalind's team has brought in some insights. So if Dr. Basai can share his views, his thoughts, if he's written them down with both of you, and then if Rosalind and Mary sit together and make the final compilation, that may be better because you're technically oriented to it. For me at this stage, I will have to take all your inputs and go through entire draft bill and then try to write. There's not enough time for that.
Okay, is that a good proposal? Yeah.
Basai.
Sure.
Dr. Basai?
Can Basai, go ahead.
Your points are extraordinarily good.
Yeah. Can I, Dr. Rini, our moderator?
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, I think what Dr. Roger said makes absolute sense. And I would also suggest that in our Set Them Free Network WhatsApp group, we would add Dr. Rojan and Bosai Moit and the others who are not there, so that our communication can be easy, and then others also will know. Others also can contribute the draft, the preparation, and I think that is what I would like to say. Thank you.
Dr. Rini, I just want to clarify. We've got to get this ready by tomorrow? This draft?
Yes, Dr.
So
Roger.
that is by the urgency. The
Yes.
urgency is that since Mary already has the format, if Dr. Basai's inputs and the inputs from Rosalind's team go to Mary, she puts it in and then shares it with Rosalind, and both of them come to a consensus and then share it with us by tomorrow evening, so that if there are any other comments to be made by anyone else, we make them immediately tomorrow evening, so that the final thing is ready to be sent day after. That's my suggestion.
Okay. Okay,
Yeah.
Dr. Roger. That's a wise suggestion.
Okay. Very, very good. So that means Dr. Basai Moid comments will be received in word form, because those are very important area, especially in the introduction area. So that means Rosalind and the team, and then Mary, yeah, we should make it into a Microsoft Word, okay? Not like PowerPoint presentation as such. So make it into Microsoft Word, but you keep in mind that we have 7 points, and then plus 7 points, of course, are all integrated into different chapters. So therefore, yeah, 7 points plus additional points we mentioned. Oh, very good. Thank you very much. Yeah. So Father Tom, are we meeting tomorrow again? We have to, or what?
I think tomorrow we have another meeting that is taking place. I would suggest that we have already done, and we have an expert panel here, and Dr. Mary, and then our legal luminaries like Rosalind and her team. I think they are able to do the work, and we really. And Dr. Bosai Mohit has already sent the presentation, his presentation in our WhatsApp, in my WhatsApp and Dr. Roger's WhatsApp. So I will share it just after this meeting. So we will do that. So yeah,
Okay.
so I think that is fine there.
So
Yeah.
that means if it is needed, tomorrow we'll meet just to listen to the draft. Is that what we say?
Yeah, that is also possible. Can we do that little later, say around 8 o'clock, or I don't know if that is okay with you, maybe for half an hour or 15 minutes, at least for half an hour. If that is okay with you, then we will have a perfect, we'll just share. And then I have another suggestion. We simply send this proposal, the suggestions, not only to the central government, but also to our states in the Northeast India.
Yes.
I think that is very, very important. And we would like to tell our people that we are aware of this document.
Okay.
Father Tom,
Okay.
you have muted yourself.
Yeah.
Father
Okay,
Tom,
that means if the draft is ready tomorrow, we can meet for half an hour, because yeah, I have a meeting at 9, so 8 o'clock may be possibility for half an hour. So
Father Tom, as you
Yes,
suggested,
doctor.
please include all our people in the WhatsApp group, number one.
Yes, yes.
So that it becomes easy. And since you will include them, they may miss on Dr. Basai's input. So after you include them, we repost Dr. Basai's suggestions in that group so that everybody gets it. And
good
then
idea.
our two friends, once they make that format, they will only do the screen sharing tomorrow.
Yeah.
So just go through it. Is that okay, Dr. They will just, after having integrated everything, they will just do a screen sharing of all our proposals. And as Dr. had said, there should be an introduction and a conclusion before we bring in the technical section. Is that okay?
Yes, yeah. I think that is very important because of yeah.
Okay, one final suggestion. As we were discussing in the last meeting, it is good to involve as many organizations as possible. We are not worried about we represent so many of our, say like UCFNEI is just one. The research forum is another one. The Northeast Research Group. And then, so can we identify a few people who are already here so that it goes from different forums. Now I am saying these are already taking place so that our views are represented region-wise, state-wise, and then also organization-wise. Thank you.
Yeah. We need to reach out more people. For example, there is nobody from Arunachal, nobody from Manipur. So how do they own these comments?
Yeah, I like the suggestion. And in fact, we should send a copy of this with some little more background information to the churches. Otherwise, if they read it as it is, they may not get the full sense of it. So, Father Tom, if there is a slight background information given, and then we send this draft proposal to all our churches, particularly to Northeast India Christian Council and the Catholic Bishops Conference of Northeast India and United Christian Forum of Northeast India. So let us spread it as much as we can among our churches. And we can also give it to the governments of Northeast India, all the states.
Yes. Chief Minister.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you, Dr. Roger. We will do that. We will do that. Yes. Yeah.
Okay, that's all. Yeah.
Right.
Any concluding remarks, Father Tom? Over to you.
Okay. So it has been a very good exercise that we have been doing, and thanks to all of you for the interest that we have shown and interest we have taken. And can I say tomorrow evening at 8 o'clock, I don't know that it's too late, but just for half an hour or no, I think that would be okay. 8 o'clock. So I will schedule the meeting, and then I would suggest that we conclude today's meeting with a word of prayer, as we always used to do. Thank you.
Let us pray. Gracious and loving God, we thank you for giving us an opportunity to spend our energy, our wisdom, our strength, and our creativity, above all, our commitment towards the most vulnerable section of our society, the children, the women, the poor people, the villagers, and who are powerless. As we are overviewing the new bill, Traffic in Persons, we thank you the way you have helped us thus far, and we pray that you will continue to be with us, particularly when the final draft comes, that will reflect the voices of the Northeast people. We pray that you be with us and guide us. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Amen. Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Bye.
Good night.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Good night.
Yes.
Your number, please. I have just inboxed you. Your number.
Really? Wait, I'll take a picture. All of you say cheese.